Should we jump into your Chicago White Sox?
Yeah, let's jump into the busiest. Oh, wait, no, never mind.
Oh,
Yeah, so the Chicago White Sox, I did predict in the last show that they would have a signing before December 1st. Something would happen, and the
you
next
weren't
day
wrong.
or a couple days later, Kendall Graveman was signed for a 3-year, $24 million deal to solidify the bullpen that I believe is going to feature a back end of Graveman, someone named Craig Kimbrel, who people are really confused about, and one Liam Hendricks. Well, good luck, getting on base in those final few innings against the White Sox. So
Oh, yeah.
um, I don't think I'm sticking with Kimbrel is not getting traded. Hendricks will be used in the 8th inning. Kimbrel will be used to close sometimes. And they will continue to probably vice versa it, but we'll see Kimbrel in a closing role much more than we saw him in a closing role at the end of the season.
I think
It's
you're basing that on the fact that Rick Hahn has actually come
who
out and said they need to reevaluate how they were using Craig Kimbrel in the back of
yes,
the
they
bullpen.
they have the talent there, tap into it and use it correctly. He does not suck.
It's almost like Rick Hahn had been listening to our podcast over the summer.
Yes, it seems like he may have at least listened to the last episode when we brought this up.
It's been brought up multiple times in the hole. So
Yes,
how this could escape the White Sox or specifically Tony La Russa is beyond me. And I feel like it is one of the costliest things for that 2021 season for the White Sox. So it's good to hear at least your general manager understands the issue.
I'm
Now,
assuming this was covered in their off-season meetings
yeah,
quite extensively. And to we don't sit in those meetings, but based on how La Russa generally addresses the media, I'm sure he took it on the chin and said, "Yeah, you guys are right. I fucked up there." He hasn't backed away from him saying he fucked things up. So,
yeah, he's a pretty stubborn guy. I mean, we've seen it.
but
I'd be surprised, but
yeah.
we'll see.
And then I think the biggest news after the Kendall Graveman signing is Luray Garcia's back. The GOAT has
Championship.
returned. Yep, that's it. Championship move, 3-year, $16.5 million contract. Did we get the second baseman signed? No. Did we get maybe another right fielder signed? No, but we got our utility guy signed. So
He's
yes,
back.
he's
Yes.
back.
Problem
I mean,
solved.
I'm actually happy Lou Ray's still on the team because he's in the clubhouse culture. It's a
Yeah.
great utility guy to have,
It's a
but
solid move, just in the context
in the
of
context of everything else that was happening
yes.
around the White Sox, it looks, everyone's. And again, I think everyone's overreacting because the Sox did not sign anyone before December 1st. Does not mean they're suddenly out of the game, which Rick Hahn pointed out.
That's a very good point that we need to back to keep repeating too. That
the
it's not
the
over.
yes, the off-season signings are not over. I don't know if you've heard. There's a few guys left out there to as Smitty pointed out, that I think maybe we should maybe dedicate our next show to like everyone who's still out there and,
Yeah,
and,
I
and
think
what
that's
that
perfect.
means for teams.
I think
And
that's
there's
perfect.
other things still dangling out there. Chris Bassett did not get traded. That
Well, that's
is
the other
still
part that there haven't been any trades.
trades.
There's
Yeah.
lots of trades that are going to be happening considering how different, how this CBA is going to be affecting different teams in their financial situation. We know that the Oakland A's, for example, are going to be open for business, trading off all of their assets essentially. So
Yeah. So, I
that's
mean,
just one example too. So this comes down to that artificial deadline of December 1st that ended up being a really fun free agent frenzy. The fans wanted every team, fans of your team, they want to see your team make some big moves when other teams are doing it, but they don't have to be doing anything.
yeah,
So
exactly. And let's be honest. I don't know why any White Sox fan would be surprised with the architect of the '94 strike still being the owner of the White Sox. Why would he sort of go against the grain and do some big signings where where the owners are having this outcry that the players are greedy and all that. I think it's the older ownership who was less likely to be making signings, as they have another, they have their own. There's like that group of 5 or 6 of them that Reinstar's part of that always have their own agenda they're trying to push through over there. And it's not that Jerry isn't, everyone's like, oh, he doesn't spend any money. Well, he has like spent money over the years, but recently
your payroll is actually as high as it's ever been in White Sox history.
Yeah.
It's $170 million right now. So
right.
That kind of dispels that myth, but it also makes you think, how much more is Jerry going to be spending though? So that's something to keep in mind as well. I mean, and maybe he is specifically waiting until the financial landscape is spelled out for the CBA. I think we've seen over time he is risk averse.
Yes, definitely.
As a general principle for Jerry Reinsdorf. So I think there's a lot of logic, or it makes a lot of sense, at least if you understand the White Sox and Jerry Reinsdorf, why they wouldn't be throwing crazy money at that artificial deadline when they do have time.
Yeah. So that, I mean, again, I get all riled up when I read Twitter. It makes me sad as a White Sox fan, because to be honest, I said months ago, I think I was going to bring this up, and I don't think I ever really articulated it, but, for years I sat there while the Sox were mirrored in mediocrity. And one of my big, fun little things to say was like, oh, Cubs fans don't know that much about baseball, and they're not as smart as Sox fans, blah, 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 blah. Well, the old cliches. But if that narrative, I think, holds true for any baseball group of fans once your park starts selling out again. And there's 15 to 20,000 people who understand how baseball works, and then there's about another million. There's another million who'd have no fucking idea of how baseball works. And Smitty and I will be the first one to say, I could give a shit how much if he wants to spend $100 million on whoever, spend your money. I could care less. But at the same time, they do operate within budgets from time to time, and you're gonna have to deal with that as a fan, and we're allowed to express our displeasure, as I will, depending on how the rest of this offseason goes.
We've criticized those specific budgets for
exactly
all of our teams. So yeah,
but to express displeasure right now with the White Sox is I think being overstated.
I think it's childish. I think it's kids wanting candy, wanting instant gratification before Christmas. I mean, that's what it feels like. Like
it does.
Any fan base complaining about their team not making moves before December 1st. Just they wanted that instant gratification that other teams' fan bases were getting, and it's not taking the long view necessarily. It'd be fun. It'd be great if you guys had. It'd be great for this podcast if you guys had made some splashy, huge free agent signings that I'm having fun talking about with my Tiger, or with the Cubs, and we will be talking about with my Tigers. So it's fun. But the whole idea is to win a goddamn championship. It's not about appeasing a fan base on December 1st. So
right, which Hahn eloquently pointed out to everyone in his interview this week, along with the usage of Kimbrel. So for me, the Rich Hahn interview this week was very comforting to me. It was very comforting to me as a White Sox fan. And again, with Hahn at the trigger, I feel much more comfortable, because I feel like Kenny. Maybe if Kenny was GM, we may have had some big, splashy, ridiculous
Ken Griffey
signing.
Jr. would be on your team.
Jan Gomes would have been signed for even more money.
Yeah.
We're signing him based on his year 27th year.
Catchers and DHs.
Yes, that's and first base. Clint Frazier too, probably another first baseman for the team. But then real quick, I think, just rounding this out, because there's not much more to say. I think part of the angst came from, we were really hoping Marcus Semien was gonna maybe come to us, and that didn't happen. The one that kind of got me, that I was surprised at, another like 11th hour deal, was I thought Chris Taylor had a legitimate chance to be a White Sox next year. The Dodgers, Chris Taylor, and the Dodgers were smart, and they extended him. So
he's just known as the super utility of all super utilities, kind of like, and he got a similar deal to Ben Zobrist from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you can think of Chris Taylor as that, but I'm wondering if they certainly were in negotiations with Taylor, but couldn't get him and then sign Lori Garcia as their backup plan, because I feel like they kind of fill the similar roles, at least.
Yeah, and
utility guy.
Perhaps they didn't want to pay $60 million for a utility guy, which I kind of say, okay, I'm okay with that. So,
well, the Cubs did it, and it ended up in a World Championship, and he was the World Series MVP. So you can make arguments on both sides, but that just.
But he was more of an everyday utility guy versus like someone who might sit on the and that's kind of Chris Taylor too, and that's why I would have liked Taylor because of his ability to play right and second with some pop.
It would have avoided the punchlines that we gleefully had today. I mean, if you had signed Chris Taylor instead of Lori Garcia.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it necessarily helps your team tremendously. It would look as a PR move to appease the fan base.
Again,
more fun to talk about.
And I'm very thankful that our DM is not trying to appease the Twitter fan base, because our team would be a fucking disaster right now.
Word Hole Media.